Sometimes you gotta bleed to know that you're alive and have a soul. But it takes someone to come around to show you how. She's the tear in my heart. I'm alive. She's the tear in my heart. I'm on fire. She's the tear in my heart. Take me higher than I've ever been. You fell asleep in my car. I drove the whole time, but that's okay. I'll just avoid the holes so you sleep fine. I'm driving here, I sit, cursing my government for not using my taxes to fill holes with more cement.
I don't know. Considering that the World Economic Forum's Infrastructure Index places America at 14th and places Canada at 13th, and then even considering that the European Union, like all together, is way below what America is even, and there's no other big or developed country that has their infrastructure even placed that high on the index, I think America's doing just fine in the grand scheme of things, and there are so many better things for us to be spending our money on besides this infrastructure, when clearly compared to the rest of the world, we are doing just fine, and we're actually ranked really, really high. So I don't think we should be placing more money into infrastructure spending.
But there are obviously two sides to every story, so let's hear what my friend Zane has to say.
With America's infrastructure. Right now, in our community of Idaho, we have many road and construction projects that are supposed to be finished within 2 years that have been now going on 5 years now. Still, construction has not been completed. As currently, the American Society of Civil Engineers recently ranked in a report that America's GPA for infrastructure was a D+. And we have many terrible grades in such as schools and roads all getting Ds, D- also for inland waterways. These need to be invested, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers, by a $3.2 trillion investment by 2020 to improve it and bump it up to get the grades higher. And we all know that infrastructure has a huge and broad-reaching impact to the American system and the American community, including economics. So if we want a better America tomorrow, we have to invest this money into the infrastructure to help us to achieve that goal.
Clearly Zane's got some good points, and some of those points are in line with what some expert congressmen are saying. So let's listen up.
Running for president because we need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, invest $1 trillion in our roads and our bridges and our rail system, and create up to 13 million good pay.
Having a better infrastructure and more high-paying jobs would all be great. Also, let's look at a unique perspective from Casey Dinges.
And that's another aspect of infrastructure, is once there's been a natural disaster, you really rely on infrastructure to help a community recover quickly. So, these are really key facilities for the nation.
Steve is in rapid.
Next, we took it to the streets to see if people actually knew what infrastructure was and how they felt about it.
I don't know what infrastructure is.
So do you think we should be spending more on infrastructure?
It would help if I knew what I was.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then with your experiences, have you noticed that infrastructure has really kind of been lacking, or has it seemed fine?
Well, I don't know, locally, I don't live here in Boise, but the road coming to Boise now has gotten wider, so as far as I'm concerned, that's an improvement.
Clearly, infrastructure spending is something that should be debated on the road to the presidency and the election for 2016. And obviously, there are two sides to the opinion. Obviously, Zane has his differing opinions from my own. But these opinions are the opinions that should be heard by the American populace, and these opinions are the opinions that the American populace needs to form their own beliefs about. So for all that, these are the discussions that should be debated on the road to the presidency.
The United States of America ranks 28th in the world in terms of a modern infrastructure. American Society of Engineers says we need to invest $3.6 trillion if to get our infrastructure up to snuff by 2020. Assume they're off by 50%.
Sometimes you gotta bleed to know that you're alive and have a soul. But it takes someone to come around to show